I recently had to play a show where I filled in on bass, and I rediscovered one of my favorite sleeper pedals in our line that I want to share with you how I use it, the Gus Plus. The Gus Plus was the first pedal we made with bass guitar specifically in mind for it. Little history on the Gus Plus. When we first started this company, the first pedal I made was the Gus Drive, named after my dog. And it was a really fun distortion pedal, good overdrive. However, the gainier it got, it started to roll off some of the low end of the EQ. A couple bass players told me that they were using the pedal and they really loved how it sounded, but it didn't work in a band setting because they were losing some of that fundamental low end. So we developed the Gus Plus and added a clean blend. So if you're playing bass, like there's your clean bass. Now, if I was to use the Gus Plus and have no clean blend, just the drive, it sounds real mean. It's with the drive dimed. Real meaty, real mean. So, the way I like to use the pedal is I tend to put the drive probably around 3 to 4 o'clock. Like, because I really want to have that real crispy, crunchy bass tone. But I want to make sure I have the low end and the root note that'll cut in a band. So I will then take the blend knob, which is the middle silver knob, push it all the way. So it's going to be completely clean. And you're going to have to push the volume. There we go. So there's your clean tone. And I start to roll the blend back slightly. There it is. So I'll have that drive sound. How much you want. If you want it to be a little cleaner, just that hint of dirt. If you want to have it be a little gainier, maybe take it down a hair. There you go. Which is pretty much how I was using it during a show with my band Bridge Under Fire. Sounded kind of punk rocky. And I was playing it through a Mark bass head at the time, which is, very, very, very clean. You're playing through a 210 cab, and it had this little pedal, and it made it sound like an Ampeg that was about to explode. It just had that drive and that meanness, and it was great because even as I'm digging in and we're getting that big, heavy distortion, the clip light on the amp was not coming on. So you weren't damaging any part of the amp or the speakers or anything. It was not clipping. All the grit was coming from the Gus Plus. So, like I said, I just jumped in to fill in on bass for that one show. And I was like, well, playing with a clean bass isn't that much fun. So let me just throw on the Gus Plus and leave it on for the whole show. I just love that sound. I think that's great for rock bass. Whether you're playing punk, metal, classic rock, anything. I just think bass with a little bit of grit is bass that I like. And it made me remember why I love the Gus Plus. So if you haven't checked out that pedal on bass, you should go check out a Gus Plus.